Hello, everybody. Suzanne Kellner-Zinck with Downing Vision's Hypnosis here to talk to you about how I created a happy life, even after 20 plus years of marriage. The marriage wasn't a really happy marriage for a lot of years, unfortunately. The first couple were really excellent, and then after that, it all went downhill for many different reasons. But most especially because my ex and I were living in very different ideas of the world should be. When I got into hypnosis and neurolinguistic programming, I learned how to heal myself, and I was no longer willing to put up with his child of alcoholic bullshit. And he didn't know exactly how to handle it, and I started making a lot of money in my practice, and that killed his ego anymore. He let me know that because he yelled at me one day, "You don't need me." I put myself in so much debt from all my training and travels to do the training. But nonetheless, I was ready to move on. Because this is the thing, folks. You can stay in an unhappy marriage. Luckily, my ex decided to cheat on me, and he had an affair with this woman who decided that she wanted him to live with her, so he went to go live with her. And I needed to get a roommate, and I found the most fabulous roommate ever. She spoiled me rotten. She was making a ton of money as a project manager at State Street Bank at the time. And we had a whole lot of fun, and we didn't have one argument between us. She's still a really fabulous friend to this day, and that was many years ago now. But it took a while to kind of find my way and to figure out who the hell I was without being in this marriage any longer. And that's the way it works for many of us who've been in marriages for a really long time, or even long-term relationships, because you're so entwined into this relationship and having this other person, character, whatever, in your life all the time that you kind of sort of forget who you are, separate and apart from that person. One of the books that was recommended to me by a really good friend of mine was In the Meantime. It uses a house as a metaphor for the growth that one can go through as one is finding themselves separate and apart from, shall we say, them, which is really, really important because you can't make a really good life for yourself if you don't even know who the hell you are, what you stand for in this life, right? So that was a really, really important step. And then the other thing was figure out how I could do the things I wanted to do. I always wanted to travel the world, and I started doing a lot of traveling actually when I was 40 years old. I was going back and forth from Metro Boston area to Southern California a whole lot of times for doing my neurolinguistic programming training in the hypnosis conventions that I loved the most at that time, because there were only about 300 people who attended the conventions to the National Guild of Hypnotists, which had thousands of people. Presentations that had nothing to do with anything to do with hypnotic anythings, and a lot of people talking a lot of crap about a lot of things, quite frankly. So that is when the traveling began. And then I didn't stop after that. And I found ways to travel the world many, many, many times. It was on other people's dimes, including a really special client that I'm still in contact with all these years later, back in 2011, who I worked with in Nairobi, Kenya. I met him and his dad at a internet marketing seminar, convention, whatever, in Denver, Colorado. And I was just taken aback by this kid. He was talking about economics and things that actually mattered in this life. And I found out during our time together that he had been traumatized, first at the age of 6, being bullied. And then when I did deeper work with him, his father wanted me to do that. So I did that in their hotel suite while we were still in Denver. His dad was there. We found out that he had been molested by somebody, not in the family. And they couldn't find anyone to help them help him in Nairobi. So they paid for me to travel all the way over there to spend 2.5 weeks in their home doing family counseling, because the mother wanted one thing for the kid and the father wanted another thing for the kid. And they were confusing the kid, according to the father, who has a great sense of humor. And every time I see him, I just laugh. He's just an amazing man. The mother is actually a gynecologist, obstetrician, works her butt off to make money for the family. And I guess the father is now actually making money instead of just running a bunch of NGOs. So, although those NGOs were really important, they were for children, for donkeys and treating them well, and for the farmers. A guy with a real heart and soul. And then after Nairobi, 2 years later, one of my trainees decided to make a pain control device, not medical. It's a stress ball with a little bit of scent in it, relaxing like lavender or whatever. We had a little hypnotic mantra that they would use. And they'd breathe in the scent, and then they would say to themselves, with each contraction, my baby is closer to being happier and healthier. And we actually sent a bunch of those stress balls with the instructions on how to use them to the obstetrician gynecologist, mother of my client in Nairobi. Pretty cool. And those were dreams that I had held on to a long time. I wanted to go to the developing world and share what I knew about how the mind works and help people. In fact, when I was in Nairobi, I trained a few master's level psychologists, meaning they were in the master's program for learning how to do clinical psychology, how to do hypnosis and integrate it into their practices, which is a hell of a lot of fun. However, it was a good thing that I printed out all of the slides with notes, a place to take down the notes because electricity died right before we began the training. This is the way it is in the developing world at times. Have to be ready for anything. Since those times, I've been able to travel to many more countries. I've been to 17 countries, back and forth across the United States, and I've lived in 5 of them. And what I can tell you is that it's the heart and the soul of the people with whom you interact every day that make a difference. I am so blessed to live in Albania. When I leave for my walk earlier in the morning, there's a couple of, I call them my Fafa ladies because I work at the Fafa resort. Hugs and kisses constantly. They just love seeing me. And that's because I always said hi and I always gave them hugs because they're just the cutest things, especially the one who looks really older with a lot of teeth rotting out of her mouth. But she's always so happy to see me. And then the family who adopted me, that's the reason I live here. My adopted sister came over to do the cleaning. I pay her some money to come over here a couple times a month to deep clean the place. She actually owned the villa that I stayed at when I first came to Gollum 3 years ago now. And she decided that she wanted me as her sister. And then before I knew it, her husband was introducing me to other guests at the villa as his sister. And their younger son thinks of me as his auntie. The older son doesn't have as close a relationship with me as the younger son who speaks English. And I don't have as much to do with him, but I'm part of the family. And you know that because they always bringing me things. They brought me 2 little fancy cakes from a bakery. Well, she did. When she did her cleaning, my birthday was on the 24th, so that was really nice. And then she brought me some cheese pie. It's kind of like spinach pie in Greece with the flaky dough and all that. Oh, it's so freaking good. Like the phyllo dough, and then stuffed with cheese. So good. She used to make them all the time with spinach. And then she asked me, they didn't bring you any bread. Do you want some bread when I bring back your laundry tomorrow? She had to do that on Google Translate. And she knows how to use my cell phone without all the Albanian letters better than I could ever do anything in Albanian, which is pretty amazing. So that's how we communicate. Same with her husband, who prefers his phone because it's a little bit bigger and he has really big fingers because he's a pretty tall guy and is a pretty big guy, but he has a heart and soul, and he just cracks me up and I crack him up, and we just have a great relationship. And I don't know, about a week ago, he came in, he changed out the fixture for my shower. It's nice and clean instead of the rusty whatever iron, whatever the hell was all over it. It has much better water pressure now. And his wife used it to clean my bathroom today with the nice water pressure. She had a really good time in there. Let me tell you, I'll be posting some photos to my Facebook to show how she cleaned my place, deep cleaned it today. It's pretty wild. And then they bring me all kinds of stuff, but mainly hugs and kisses and laughs. And that's what you need, people. You don't want to be living among people who don't like you, argue with you, have to distract you from everything that matters to you, and basically don't give a damn about you in reality. And that's why I live here, because I love these folks so much. They're my family. They are my family because they made me their family in Albania. Family is everything. Never say anything negative about someone's family or you might not like what comes forth. I was told that by an Albanian a few months ago when I was walking the beach. Other things. Be involved in things that you're interested in and speak your truth. I'm in a doctoral program for psychology, and I don't agree with 99% of the crap they're teaching. Most of it is totally out of date. The textbook goes back to 2016. What year are we into now? 2025? Why such an old textbook? Most of the theory is a bunch of bullshit. Most of the things that the students are basically regurgitating has nothing to do with reality based on my 32 years of working in the world of mental health. I started at the Gathering Place, which is a clubhouse for mentally ill adults 19 and over, where I had the best mentors ever as a consumer provider, meaning that I had a history of mental health. Still do, but I don't have any of the symptoms any longer, thanks to Tad James clearing all that crap out of my life in 2004. And that's a different story for a different day. Suffice it to say, when you're doing what you love and you're speaking your truth and you're not allowing other people to railroad you with a bunch of garbage that has nothing to do with reality based on your own education, your critical thinking based on your education, your lived experience, and you just speak your truth, there'll be some people who will be turned off by you, and that's okay. They're not your people. So what? Let them go. But the people who love you, oh my God, they love you so much. They'll do anything and everything for you without a problem. There's no such thing as competition. There's no such thing as fakedom. It's just down to earth, real relationships. And what that does is that keeps you very healthy and very happy throughout your life. So these are the things that I did to make myself happy. I found an environment which I love. I spend my time doing the things that I care about, and I speak my truth. And trust me, I write a whole bunch of crap on my discussion post for my educational purposes, and always have, basically disputing pretty much everything that they bring up in these classes. And I back it all up with peer-reviewed studies, because that's what you have to do when you're in academia, because you can find a study to prove pretty much anything you want to. However, few people know how to actually read these things. I'm very grateful to the professors who actually had classes where they taught us how to evaluate truth and fiction in so-called academic writing. Because there's more fallacy and bullshit in peer-reviewed journals for medical anything than you could ever believe. And there's a lot of reasons for that. Suffice it to say, you have to really know how to read this stuff. You have to be able to interpret it correctly, and you need to know what matters in terms of the articles. A lot of these articles are written in archaic language. Not all of them, but too many of them. And you need to be able to understand the superficial BS from the reality of what is actually being presented to you. Not an easy thing to do. That's why I created a Substack newsletter, and you can subscribe to it. I have it down in the description below the video if you'd like to do that. So you can actually learn what the real research is telling us these days regarding all things to do with mental health, physical health, and well-being, because that's what I stand for. Just turned 64 years old on the 25th of September, and I need to live a lot longer. I have a lot more things I want to do in my life. I want to see a whole lot more countries, actually. I was talking to a guy on Alignable, which is a networking platform, I guess you could say, for professional folks, many self-employed. And we weren't talking really about our businesses. We were talking about travel, because I was explaining that I live in Albania, not Springfield, New Jersey, which is the address of my Alignable thing. So that's my U.S. address. It's my godson's place. He takes care of all things America for me, thank Godfully. And he has suggested Turkey. Great food, inexpensive. And I think what I'm going to do is go there for a month and a half, go check it out, see all the beautiful architecture and all the really cool stuff, and eat my way through the place, especially along the Mediterranean, which is my favorite place to be. And then go back to Morocco, Rabat, stay in the Medina, this really wonderful hostel. I had my own room with a double bed with really great people, where you go up and down the Medina where all the little shops are, and people just handed me food. didn't have to pay for it. They just hand me food. It was really cool. You can buy anything in there, and it's just beautiful. The architecture in the area is beautiful. The masonry is beautiful. The woodwork on everything is beautiful. It's just an amazing place if you're into really beautiful handmade things. Even go back many, many, many centuries. So that's what I do. I'm telling you that's what you need to do. But what I am telling you is get in touch with your inner wisdom. That would be your subconscious mind. Write about it. Talk to people about it. And figure it out. Because when you figure out what truly matters to you, you can have the best life ever, regardless how broke or how wealthy you are at any given time in life, as we all have our ups and downs in those instances too, don't we? All right. Thank you all for being with me. Until next time. Bye-bye.